Okay, this Ask Energy question is a fantastic one, and it is something that I get in my practice when I work with athletes individually. And mostly it's actually becoming more of a popular question these days because it's more readily available. So the question is this: should I wear a CGM, continuous glucose monitor? Okay, I'm not going to answer that first or yet. What I'm going to do is give you a little bit of background on what the heck a CGM is. So a CGM is a continuous glucose monitor, has a little sensor that you use with just a little, really small needle, and really not a needle. It's like a hair size needle. It's a sensor that usually goes on the back of your arm, right above your tricep, and it monitors glucose, right? Throughout the entire day. It's fantastic, right? For some people. Now, in the past, this has only been available to people with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, to help regulate their diabetic state. Super beneficial for them, obviously. Recently, though, there have been some changes, and a lot of companies have been entering the space, the CGM space, with their individual software applications and platforms. Now, it is much easier to get a CGM even now than it was even a couple of years ago. So that is why CGMs are becoming so much more popular, not only for people trying to manage diseases, obviously, right, but also for athletes, for health conscious individuals, for people in the longevity space, and yes, even for athletes. Now, I will answer the question in a few minutes, but I will share with you a few years ago, I actually wore a CGM for a month, and it was an eye-opening experience for me. And I'm not going to be too long-winded about this, but I gained a lot from wearing it for 4 weeks because what I learned personally was that my body responded to different carbohydrates in different ways. And for example, I had a lot of really big surprises, and I did a lot of interesting N of one experiments because I would eat not how I would normally eat. Like I would eat grapes by themselves. Normally, I would pair grapes or a fruit with a protein to stabilize my blood sugar. But since I had the CGM, I really wanted to just kind of see. I wanted to see the difference between grapes and blueberries and bananas and different types of carbohydrates: white bread, whole grain bread, white rice, brown rice, right? So I did all these little things because here's the thing: it showed me that I have a very individual response to certain carbohydrates. Now, interestingly enough, I've used CGMs with athletes I've worked with, and I've had some big surprises, very similar to what I experienced myself. Some athletes, I mean, honestly, like would eat white potatoes. I had this one athlete who would eat a white potato and her blood sugar would not spike. Completely counterintuitive, right? And she didn't eat anything with it. We were kind of experimenting with that, right? So it's like, why does the body, like we would think eating a white potato would increase a glucose spike? Well, it should. That's what everyone says, right? It has a high glycemic index, but for this one particular person, it did not. So here's the thing. I just wanted to share that really quick because I also learned over the month different trends, the trends of putting different foods together at certain times of the day, also taking into consideration stress level, sleep, and training. All of that affects glucose levels, right? So in my month of experimentation, it was extremely beneficial. However, I'm a little geeky when it comes to that. I like doing that. I like doing N of one experiments. I like using the data. I like researching the data, right? But back to the question at hand. Should you wear a CGM for whatever reason? To improve weight loss, body composition, longevity, whatever, right? Doesn't even matter the topic, but should you wear one? Perhaps, right? I do believe that these wearables are very beneficial most of the time. Now, in the CGM world, it can absolutely be beneficial. However, it can also make you very, very hyper aware, and almost to the point where this is a negative of it, almost to the point where you're so hyper aware that you're starting to restrict, or you're starting to eliminate, or you're starting to really become hypersensitive, and almost to the point of not being healthy with your relationship with food. So I have seen some people. Luckily, I was guiding them in this journey, and I saw it coming early on, so we were able to stop in the tracks. But I don't want you to think that wearing a CGM is going to automatically make you healthier or increase your longevity or improve your weight loss. It will help, but you have to know how to use the data, but also how to kind of back up and not use it in a very negative way. Okay. So with all that said, a CGM can provide amazing support in whatever you're trying to do from a health perspective, but you have to understand how to use the information. So first thing along with that, you can't just put on a CGM for 2 weeks, right? So the CGM sensors, most of them are a 2 week rotating sensor. So you have to replace them every 2 weeks. So I recommend if you're going to wear a CGM, at least for 4 weeks, at least, right? You have to have at least two data points or two sets of 2 week data points. The great thing about CGM is you get real time. It's usually depends on the sensor and the company, but usually you're getting every about a minute or two. You can actually look on your app, which is on your phone or your tablet, and you can see exactly what's happening to your glucose levels, right? So you'll get that real-time data, but again, a lot of people just kind of focus on that one data point. They're not looking at the entire day, the entire week, the entire month, right? That's one thing I would highly recommend if you are going to wear one is to look at the trend data. Now, wearing a CGM can also really help you plan your meals too. Like I said, in my personal example, it helped me determine how my body responds to different carbohydrate sources so I could place them in meals with protein, with fat appropriately, because I knew how my body would respond to those particular carbohydrates. So overall, I think using a CGM is extremely positive as long as you don't go down the road of making it too unhealthy in terms of that relationship with food. Use the data for what it is. It's just like using a smartwatch. It's just like using a heart rate monitor, right? Use the data for what it is and help it where it helps you kind of create more of that holistic approach to improving your health, to improving your longevity, and improving your fitness. If you have more questions about CGMs, you can just reach out to me via email or just go to the Energy Performance website. Would love to engage with you more on this because this is not that CGMs are new, but this is kind of a new topic right now because they're becoming so popular in the marketplace.